House of Pache. Book of Sariya. Chapter 5. Grasping to a Hope. Like, comment, subscribe, buy me a coffee. Book available on Amazon.
Fark is a witty man and a charmer. If anyone can convince me of these silly thoughts and bring me back to earth, he could do it. Fark recoils as if I'd slapped him, his eyes surprised. "Are you serious, lass? You must keep this quiet, you hear." He glances around the cabin as if expecting the others to have overheard, his voice dropping even lower with urgency. "Even speaking of the undead brings ill fortune, whether they exist or no. You'll bring their gaze down upon us all with that talk."
"Whoa! Whoa there!"
The coachman's shout rings out, followed by a chorus of echoing cries as the carriage lurches to a jarring halt, sending Fark and I crashing into the front wall with bone-rattling force.
Hold on, ye bastards!
The driver's calls continue, echoing through the dark forest like the anguished screams of the damned as the other carriages grind to a stop behind us, one by one. What happened? What could have caused such an urgent stop? Fark stands quickly and throws open the door. The roar of raging flames cover the hillside, the shrill cries of unbridled terror, the bestial shouts and bellows of whatever creatures of the damned hunt us. A guard stands below, his face frantic and drawn, eyes filled with naked fear. "Tell everyone to stay inside!" he shouts up at us, his voice reedy with panic. "And bar the doors! Do not open, for any reason!" "What is it?" Bach demands, his earlier bravado vanishing like a snuffed candle flame as he takes in the guard's abject terror. "What's happened?" The guard hesitates, glancing over his shoulder into the nightmare beyond, before answering loudly in a hoarse rasp. "I'm not sure. Appears to be a large fire that's blocked the path ahead. But that's not all." He trails off, his eyes losing focus for a moment, as his face contorts in an expression of purest dread. Just take a seat and remain in the carriage. Bar the doors and do not open them for any reason. We'll try to find an alternate road and be on our way shortly." Fark slams the door shut, his face ashen as he turns to address the rest of us, his voice wavering despite his obvious efforts to project calm. "Everyone remain in the carriage and bar the doors. There's a fire blocking the path ahead. We'll be continuing on shortly." But as his stare meets mine, I see the mask slip, that veneer of confidence cracking like ice over a frozen lake. He can read the naked terror etched on my features. I don't have to say a word. He knows this is something far worse than a simple roadblock or wildfire. Fark moves to my side, grabbing my arms and rubbing them vigorously, as if to instill warmth, though his own hands are as cold as the grave. "It's only a small fire, nothing more," he tries to reassure me, but the words ring as hollow as the toneless bellow of a corpse, devoid of any conviction. Instead of offering comfort, his touch leaves me paralyzed with dread. I feel frozen, petrified, as if I can sense the presence lurking just beyond the tree line, and has turned its baleful gaze upon us at last. Was it me he was coming for? The thought makes my stomach flip, my breaths coming in ragged gasps of panic. "Slow, deep breaths, lass," Fark coaches, pulling me into another embrace, only I feel it was not for my comfort this time. He was trying to calm himself. Even still, it was the only anchor against the rising tide of terror threatening to sweep me away. "Just breathe nice and slow now. I'm here, I've got you." We find a pair of open bench seats, and I try to follow his soothing murmurs. forcing air into my constricted lungs as I mouth a silent prayer to whatever divine forces might hear my plea. But it's no use. Slam! A crash from outside the front of the caravan shatters what little calm I'd mustered. Blood-curdling screams pierce the night, the terrified wails of women echoing through the forest like the cries of the damned being dragged into the Stygian pits of the underworld. My breath catches in my throat as every muscle goes rigid, bracing for what? For death itself to shatter the flimsy barrier of wood separating us from the encroaching nightmare? I can't remain seated a moment longer, can't cower in this coffin on wheels and await my fate. I surge to my feet, but Fark's grip locks around my shoulders, holding me in place with surprising strength as he shakes his head urgently. "Sit!" he orders in a tone I've never heard from him before. Not a request, but a command laced with grim authority. "I'll go out and see what's happening, but you need to stay here where it's safe. You hear me?" The door crashes open, and Fark slips outside, slamming the door behind him to muffle the sounds, but not nearly enough to drown out the roar of the fire or the anguished cries echoing endlessly through the shadowed wood. Time stood still, but it was only a moment later. The screams slowly die away. Weeping continues, a haunting keening like the lamentations of mourners over fresh graves. "What's happening out there?" This question repeats in our carriage. Then the shouts of men from outside growing louder as they seem to move from carriage to carriage down the line, their calls indistinct but carrying a clear tone of fear and desperation. "Anyone?" The words are muffled, indistinct at first. "Seen?" Closer now, clearer, each syllable like a tombstone lashed across my heart. "Anyone seen Parchette? Or Cloven?" Our door bursts open once more to admit a wild-eyed guard, his gaze sweeping over us all with frantic urgency as he repeats the words louder this time as if by sheer force of volume he can make them untrue. "Has anyone seen Parchette or Cloven?" We can only shake our heads, mute witnesses to some unfathomable horror unfolding beyond these wooden walls. "The two of them are gone, like they were taken by the forest." The guard turns on his heel and rushes away, the door slamming shut behind him with a dull thud of finality, the sound of the lock sliding into place. Why are people missing? What's happening out there? The weeping begins anew, the cries of terrified women echoing. I wish I didn't already know in the deepest chambers of my heart that the dread forces of darkness had finally come for us. That the nightmare was no longer confined to mere tales spun by the fireside to chill the blood. This was no dream, and this time there would be no waking from it before the Strigoi claimed its pound of flesh. When or will Fark return?
Next and final chapter. Chapter 6. It's come for me. Buy me a coffee. Support me and the channel to create more content. Go to the link in the description. Book available on Amazon. Like, comment, subscribe. House of Pache. Book of Sariya.